Hey. Hey. What up, citizens? It's your boy, Dustin. And your girl, Veronica, a.k.a. Labios de Bebe.
Hi.
Guys, we are back with another banger. You know it doesn't stop when it comes to us. You know it doesn't stop. We appreciate you guys getting at us, showing much love. This podcast has been building.
It has been. It's kind of weird.
You know, the funny thing is, like, so when you have a podcast and you're with iTunes and you're in like all these, all these different like companies, streaming companies, you can see your analytics. And we are a big deal in India.
What's up, India?
Big shout out to my boys in India. Big shout out. Much love, guys. India has been showing up. The numbers have been phenomenal. We do appreciate you guys. Shout out to the people in the UK. Shout out to the folks in Germany. Like, DnV LaLaLand's podcast is global. This is a global thing, guys.
You forgot. Viva Mexico.
Oh, how could I forget? Mexico shows more love than a little bit. So shout out Viva Mexico. We love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. And speaking on Viva Mexico, guys, you know what you clicked on. You know what you've read. You know what you are intrigued to listen to.
Let's all just take a collective deep breath, though, before we get into this.
Right. If I have to say this, and I'm just gonna shoot this out here. Being black in Mexico. That is an entire experience, and that's what we're here today to talk about. And specifically here in Merida, or what some people say Merida, Merida. Like, y'all been killing us on the pronunciations.
Destroying us.
Literally in the comments, like nonstop.
And I feel like so many people have different ways they say it.
Yeah, like let's can we dive into that for like 1 minute? Like, the funny thing is, when I came here, we talked with this American accent, which is a whole nother thing. We get it, guys. We know the United States is a country, America is a continent. Please stop. like we get it. We knew that before we left. We knew that in like the second grade. But anyways, so the funny part about that is, when I came here, I was hella like U.S. American accent, Merida. You know what I mean? Like Merida.
No, we said it phonetically.
Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just the way that it's spelled, Merida.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, I'm really trying. Media? How do you say it? Media?
The funny thing is, okay, so we came in and we were like, Merida. And then somebody was like, oh, it's Merida. But when we are living here and we're amongst the locals, and like when I say the locals, I'm not talking about expats from different parts of Mexico. I'm talking about the Mayans, okay? The indigenous people, the Mayans, the people that were born and didn't even speak Spanish and had to learn Spanish to be able to function in this economy. They pronounce it Merida, like Mehdea, Merida. Like that's how I hear it being spoken around to the people. That's what we were told, and that we're hearing that on the day-to-day basis. So everybody has like a different term, and everybody's like, no, it's Merida, Merida. So guys, listen, don't come for us, man. We're learning. I appreciate you guys thinking enough of us to comment below and tell us that. But we're out here, guys. We're out here. But back to
you're a little bit in your feels about that.
I'm not at all. Like I the funny thing is, I actually love the fact that people take time out of their day to write a comment. Even if the comment is the most haterous stuff you have ever heard in your entire life, I appreciate the fact that you did that. There's over like 200 million YouTubers. There's over 200 million people on YouTube to some capacity. And for you to take time out of your life to put anything in our comments or watch our videos, it is very appreciated. I may not be a fan of your comment, especially if it's wild and you don't come correct, but I appreciate the fact that you watch the video, the vlog, and you have an opinion on it. Because if you see by my work and Baby Lips, Labios, we put a lot into these videos. Like, these videos aren't like, oh, I'm bored, let me just whip out my iPhone 7 and film something. Like, bro, I'm moving through these streets with an entire production, And I hope you guys are enjoying the content. For those of you guys that don't know that we're on YouTube, yes, we're on YouTube. It's your boy Chocolate Daddy. It's your girl Baby Lips.
No one calls him Chocolate Daddy.
I'm gonna make that a thing now. I'm gonna make that a thing. Like, you know, we're in a position to where now people are starting to recognize us, and they're walking up to us, and it's the funniest thing because they're like, "Oh my God, like, hey, are you Baby Lips?" It's an entire thing. And, you know, I see a dude and he's like, "Yo, man, you know, I love your videos, blah, blah, blah. Where your girl Sugar Mouth at?" I'm like, that's, first of all, bruh, it's Baby Lips, okay? Second of all, I'm gonna need you to dial down, call my girl Sugar Mouth. But yeah, man, it's much love. If you guys see us, if we're out and about and you happen to run into us, please, like, we love to put faces on our family, our YouTube family. We love to put the faces of the people. Don't you love that?
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny because I don't know what to say sometimes.
Right.
But I like it. I really do. So definitely show love if you see us out.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. But getting back to the concept of what we're trying to do here. Being black in Mexico, specifically Merida. Okay. So I know you guys watched a million vlogs. I know you guys heard a million podcasts, and I know there's people that are probably sitting at home like, "Well, why are you talking about being black in Mexico?" Well, let me just help this really quick so you don't have to think more into that. It's because I am black. I know for the people that can't physically see me, that are hearing this voice somewhere, you guys might not understand that. Or for the people that do watch our vlogs and are confused why that's the title of this vlog, it is because this is my experience. Like, this is my experience. And coming from the United States, it is a completely different experience. That's the important part you guys have to know. It's a completely different experience. We joke on our YouTube videos and our vlogs about being past curfew. That's kind of become our thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's unintentionally become like our thing. Like, oh man, we're here past curfew, because curfew was at 10 p.m. because of the pandemic. But I think it's interesting because it's like I find myself seeing these police officers, and they're literally all around. They're literally driving all around, and I find myself being in a position to where it's like, you know, oof, like in America, if it says, "Yo, you need to be home by a certain time," and you're not there, it's a problem. I remember when COVID started and they put in these restrictions and people weren't abiding by these restrictions. People were like getting tickets. They were going to jail. Like, do you remember that?
Yeah, it was crazy, but it's so different here.
Yeah, like it's so super different. One of our subscribers was like, "Yo, like, you know, you guys have an American mindset." In her comment, she was like, "You guys have an American concept." She was like, "You know, I know you guys are always saying you're out past the curfew, but they're not going to throw you in the police car. They're not going to throw you in the paddy wagon." She was like, "If anything, they'll sit there and talk to you until your Uber gets here and make sure you get in your car safe." And that's been our experience. Like, you know, you hear these horror stories of Mexico coming from the United States. You hear these horror stories to where there's like shootouts in the middle of the street every day, that the city is ran by cartel members, and, you know, it's this huge drug kingpin capital. But the reality is our experience here has been the complete opposite.
Right, but that would not be our experience. Even if that was happening, we're not in the cartel. So if that would happen, we would just been like victims of like crossfire, right?
Right. I mean, coming from Los Angeles, which is a huge metropolitan city compared to Merida. Like, it's not even the same in terms of like population, but the culture there is completely different. Like, when you walk through the streets of LA, it's a certain type of awareness you have to carry. Like, you know, for an example, once again, being a black dude from LA, I know there's certain neighborhoods I can't go into wearing certain things in terms of the color. Like, there's certain neighborhoods that I can't go into wearing blue. There's certain neighborhoods I can't go into wearing red. And in some cases, there's certain neighborhoods it's just best not to go in, period, no matter what you're wearing. That doesn't exist to that capacity here. This place is extremely safe. And I think that when you come from the States, especially as somebody that are Black Americans, and you have this perception on a certain country that is painted by certain news and media outlets, and then you get here kind of expecting these things, and just in a sense not expecting them, but it's in the back of your mind, like this is what you've been told your entire life, and seeing the polar opposite is astonishing to me. It's weird because, once again, I'm going to bring up LA again. The gang violence in LA is massive. Like, it's a real thing. And not only the gang violence, but it was certain point, it was structured to where it was black gangs, it was Mexican gangs, and that kind of created a disposition within the communities in Los Angeles. And when you come to this place that we're here right now, Merida, it's so not the case. I have never been, Veronica and I we've been to Paris, London, Dubai, Maldives, other parts of Mexico. This is one of the most warmest, welcoming places. Most welcoming places. And, it's so funny because, like, even the people that are starting to watch the videos that are indigenous to this area, and they're the locals here, like, the comments are like, oh, well, we're so happy, we welcome you to our land. Like, somebody said that, we welcome you to our country, and not our country to the disposition like, hey, welcome to my country. It's like, you live here, I live here, this is our country, let's enjoy it together. And I love the Mexican people for having that spirit. I really do. I love the Mexican people for having that spirit because, when the tables are turned and you have people that are immigrants that come to the United States, they're never met with that. They're not met with that in a political environment. They're not, met with that on a local governmental environment. It's very much the opposite.
Right. But I do think that our experience is skewed as Black Americans because we're together. Like, I think that if you were traveling as a Black man, single and by yourself through Merida, I think your experience would be different. Just like I think if I was a single Black female traveling without a man, my experience would be different. So I think together we are having this really amazing experience with people that approach us with curiosity and questions and open-mindedness, and I sometimes wonder like how that would differ if I was by myself.
Right. And let me just start out, huge shout out to, there you go, had to hit him with the Jamaican horns. A huge shout out to the brothers and sisters of Merida. I feel like when we first came here, like, it's such a sense of comfort to find that community.
But what is the Brothers and Sisters of Merida?
It's a Facebook group, community, a Facebook group of expats, of people all over, not just specifically the United States, but there's people from the Caribbean and so on and so forth, to come here and have that sense of community and fellowship and togetherness that we lack, in certain parts when we travel the world.
Yeah, but that group was created because there were single women or single men going to Merida, and they're supporting each other, right? Like, we are very unique in that group. We're very unique. I think traveling as a couple, as a Black couple through Mexico is something that's a whole other thing, right? That's a whole different perspective. And I think it's interesting, like, me and Dustin were in Walmart, and the manager was like following us around, and come to find out, he just wanted to talk to us. Like, he found a reason to finally say something and just started asking us about, our trip and our life, and started telling us about his wife and his journey. And he was just purely curious. And I feel like whenever we go to these restaurants, a lot of times we get met with such hospitality, but it's coupled with curiosity and intrigue. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in a good way. It's coming from a good place. We have not had a bad experience here, but I think that I wonder, like, if I was coming to eat by myself or shopping in a store by myself, what would that be like?
Right. And a good thing about being in a Facebook community is, like Veronica said, like, we're kind of, you know, we're an intriguing factor because you see a lot of solo travel. You see a lot of Black women that travel independently. Not so much men. Not so much men. You see single mothers. That's like a huge thing out here.
Yeah, I was surprised by the amount of single moms here.
Yeah, like single moms, like a kid, 2 or 3 kids. Like that's a huge thing. And I'm so intrigued about their experience because obviously it's a different experience from us because now you have to enroll kids into school and get them immersed into the communities, which is, I can't imagine is an easy task. But what I've got from them, because we've talked to some of them, we met a lot of these people, is that they thoroughly enjoy it. Like, a lot of women are moving around specifically this city and don't feel scared. They don't feel harmed. People aren't harassing them.
But how do you know that?
From our conversations with them. I feel like it's one of those things to where, we have met up with so many people. We've kind of talked to people, and the experiences that I've heard personally, like face to face from these people, have been all positive. And they have their groups and their friends, and a lot of them are not like us. Like we are, for the people that do not know, we're traveling the world. We love these places, but we're passing. Like we're passing through eventually. But some people moved here permanently and have been here for years, indefinitely. And I think that's an amazing thing. But for us, and going back to what Veronica was saying, when we went to Walmart, it's like we carry that American ideology. The manager, we could tell he's a manager. He's wearing like a shirt, no tie, but a button-up shirt, some slacks. He had like a little name tag. And as soon as we walked in, like I see the guy kind of look at me with his peripheral vision, like out of the corner of his eyes. And obviously everybody's wearing a mask. So when everybody's wearing a mask and the lower part of your face is covered, you immediately look at a person's eyes. And I looked at his eyes and I seen him kind of like shoot us a look. And I'm like, oh, here we go again, man. Like, here we go. Once again, this is my American mentality. And so we're walking and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like we're walking. And then I noticed we were in an aisle. And then Veronica I think we're looking for like soap, like dish soap or something. And then I noticed him like walk by and like look into the aisle. I can't see the lower part of his face. I can only see his eyes. But I noticed at a certain point, this guy's kind of following us. And I'm like, okay, listen, does he think we're stealing? Like, does he think like we're about to do something crazy? Like, what is this guy doing? Why is he following us? And eventually he found his way towards us and he asked us a question. And it was like, hey, do you need any help? That was his first original thing. And like, at first I didn't know how to feel about it. I'm like, dude, no, we don't need any help, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Like, we know dish soap. Like, we know what dish soap looks like. And not even 2 or 3 minutes in that conversation, I felt so stupid. I'm like, this guy just wants to talk. He was like, oh my gosh, where are you guys from? I don't really get a lot of opportunities to practice my English. He was a really nice guy. He told us about his wife and how they lived in different places, and they both lived in the Yucatan, but she lives in like the north side of Quintana Roo, and he was talking about how he doesn't see her much and he misses her and how much he loves, the city, and he's always wanted to go to LA. He's always wanted to take his family to Disneyland, and like we talked to him like for like 40 minutes, and like it dawned on me like, bro, I am carrying America with me. I'm carrying the United States of America with me. And I cannot do that. This was the nicest, sweetest guy. And by the way, every single time we go back to Walmart and we see him, it's like on site, like, hey guys, how you been? And it's just a different perception of what is perceived here. I'm confused that xenophobia is not a real thing in here, because the reality is the way that Black Americans are portrayed in the media is the most grotesque thing ever. Like thugs, unconscious criminals, like complete animals. We've had first ladies calling us, super predators, like all type of crazy stuff. You go and you look at the news, especially this summer, and you see rioting, looting, in the streets, buildings burning down. You know, you see the George Floyds that were murdered by the police. You see the Trayvon Martins, you know, the Breonna Taylors of the world, and you assimilate Black America with drama and struggle and, you know, like just violence and things that aren't really who we are to the culture. So coming here and not having that experience or that perception put on me is a very great feeling. It's something personally outside of my travels that I've never felt in my life. And that's unfortunate. Like here we see so many cars that are riding around like the police cars. They ride around with their lights on. And in the States, every Black man specifically knows this feeling. When you're driving a car and you look in your rearview mirror and you see you know, cop cars, the cop lights going off. And clean as a whistle, bro. Like I've never been in trouble in my entire life. I don't smoke. I've never done any drugs. I've never been arrested. No misdemeanors, no felonies, no nothing. I am the quintessential, like, this dude is not that guy dude. You know what I mean? Quintessential, like, what they call him, square. I'm quintessentially square. And even I'm like my registration's clean, my papers are clean. Like, I'm like, crap, what is it? What's going on today? Every time I see that. And we see it here every day now, and it doesn't bother me anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's just different here. It's totally different. The whole perception of the police is just so incredibly different. But they're more intimidating here.
And see, I disagree.
Oh, really?
I disagree. They walk around with, in case you guys don't know, if you've never been to Mexico and you're listening to this, specifically here in the city, they walk around with like machine guns, okay? But the funny part is, and this is once again coming from a different perspective, like I notice how the locals act towards them. And there doesn't seem to be fear. There doesn't seem to be a bullying or a terror factor. Like we were in an Uber and this dude was like, a cop was in front of him slow and he was like honking on the cop, honking his horn at the cop. Guys, if you are Black right now, imagine being in the United States of America in cities like LA, Chicago, whatever, and getting behind a police officer and blowing your horn at the cop. Okay, we would never. And the cop just slowly pulled to the side, threw the hand out and waved like, oh, my bad. And I'm thinking to myself, that's amazing. You would never see that in the States. Like, I wouldn't dream. Like, if a cop got in front of me and just stopped in the middle of the freeway, bro, I will slowly do reverse and just drive around. Like, I'm not laying on the horn at any cop. But it's almost like the police officers are here to protect and serve. And that's the understanding that the people have. And apparently that's what's really going on. There's no fear factor. They don't get scared when they see the cops, And in this city specifically, there's no history of the cops just slaughtering the citizens. So I feel like it's just a different world here.
Mm-hmm. I still think that they look more intimidating here than in the U.S.
I guess. I think, if you're talking about, once again, it's hard. And listen, this isn't a diss on police officers. I have family that are police officers. It's not a diss on police officers in the United States of America. But the reality is very simple. If you are the boys in blue and you roll in the States, there is a perception that the citizens have of you. A portion has it very favorable. And right now, as we speak, there's like a defund the police campaign that's going around this country because the perception is so unfavorable. There's people that are on trial right now for the murder of innocent American citizens. When I say innocent, I'm not talking about, oh, this person did this or this person did that. I'm saying unarmed American citizens, like unarmed. This person is no threat to you. If this person bounced a check or whatever the case may be, this person is no threat to your life. When you have a gun, you only draw that if you believe that it is a life or death situation. And that doesn't happen as often as, unfortunately, it does happen, I guess, in the States more than it should. So, yes, they're more, I guess you would say they're more scary because they have the guns, but they're not using the guns like how we're using the guns in the States, especially on the citizens that are unarmed. But that's a whole nother topic. I feel like our experience here has been a great experience.
It definitely has. I can't complain. It's been way different than what I perceived that it was going to be. Like when we were like building up to this trip, I did not expect Merida to be like this at all. Dustin, I mean, like it's so opposite. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be bad, right? Like not at all. But I didn't think we would enjoy it as much as we are. Like so much so that Dustin's like, ooh, should we buy property here? And I'm like, what?
That's been a real conversation in my house.
Like we've genuinely enjoyed it here. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing. So I feel really confident in saying that if you are somebody that's in America, whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, whatever, I fully feel like any race could come to Merida and have a very enriching time. Like
Right.
really leave feeling fulfilled, spiritually,
Absolutely.
emotionally, like all the things, right? I think it checks all the boxes. It can be whatever you want it to be, but I do feel, and I will maintain this, because I think that we have a lot of people that watch this vlog or listen to this podcast that are thinking about coming to Merida on a more permanent basis, thinking about moving here, thinking about relocating here. So I don't want to give any false perception of Merida, because I do think, and I say this because I think that there are a lot of women specifically that are looking to come here. I do feel that your experience coming here alone or with your children will be different than Dustin and I's experience. And I'm not saying that it'll be worse. I do not think that at all. I think that this is a very safe place. I think it's a great place to raise kids. I think that there are a lot of different things that you can do here to sustain your life and feel fulfilled. But I don't know like what the dating scene is like. I don't know what like the single social life is like. Like I don't know what those things look like. And I think that that should be something that you consider when you're looking to move here, because that's a very real part of your life that you need to have fulfilled. You know, the Facebook group that Dustin was talking about, Brothers and Sisters of Merida, is a really good support group for people that are moving here and need help or need resources or whatever. But you do need to think about how are you going to fulfill your like friendship circle? How are you going to fulfill your kids' friendship circle? How are you going to support them? What are you going to do with them as far as school goes? What are you going to do for yourself? Like for your time, for your me time, you know, things like that. Like Dustin and I are a unit, so we sustain and support each other a lot. So I just think that that's something that you should really think about and consider. And, you know, I'm happy to help you connect you with the Brothers and Sisters of Merida if that's something that you would be interested in, because I do think it's a really, really, really good group. But I just think that there's just a lot to think about and consider, because it's a big move. And I say this because we just have so many people that watch us that are thinking about moving here.
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of people that find us because, you know, just in general, they're searching for the city. They're searching what's lifestyle like in the city, what's lifestyle like for people like them in the city. And it's completely different. And I think that's a thing that we've noticed. Like there's a lot of people and single girls that come out here, and they're struggling with the dating scene, and they're looking for something specific that they were getting back home that may not be here. And we notice that that's an issue, and everybody's kind of like, oh, well, we don't really know what to do, and so on and so forth. That's probably one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, like you mean like finding a significant other?
Yeah, like finding a significant other.
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't, granted, remember that we're also here during COVID, right? So I don't know what Meridia's social scene was like pre-COVID. I can tell you right now, there's a curfew at 10 o'clock, and Dustin and I struggle with that.
Hardcore.
Struggle. Because we work all day. By By the time we're done with work, we get ready, we want to go out, and it's time to come back. It's time to come back home. We're late night people. I mean, that's coming from Los Angeles. We could be out until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. Here, you cannot do that. And again, I know that a lot of it has to do with COVID, but outside of COVID, I have not seen very much that would allude to the fact that there is a prominent nightlife here unless you have a strong social circle to support it. I think there's a lot of like get-togethers, like house party type things, like we're gonna go do this and this is our group, or if you have like something like a hobby or something that you're really interested in, like I think that it's those kinds of little groups that create a nightlife. So that's why I think it's really important that you do your research.
Right. But I mean the perception though, like the perception is if you are single and you're out here, you have to be open-minded. Not just that, like we're not even, let's get off the single because that's not at all what this video is about. If you are in a position to where you're moving out here and you want to create a social circuit, it is very important for you to be open to the local community.
Yes.
And luckily for you, when you come into this city, this is some of the nicest, warmest, most welcomingest people you will ever meet in your entire life. And I think that's an important thing to consider when you're traveling because, if you are in a position to where you're coming with your kids, if you're in a position to where you're, looking to meet people and hang out and find hobbies, like there's a lot of cities that are cold as ice. Like this city is not that. This city is warm, it's welcoming, and it's not discriminatory. Like it's like all are welcome, all are appreciated. All cultures are here to pretty much enjoy what this is. Just come to this and know that the reality is you're a guest in somebody's house. Okay, so when you go into this certain places and specifically this city, understand that the highest respect goes to the locals. And the highest respect goes to locals in terms of how you treat them and, how you aspire to build in relationships with them is because they're the people of the land. They're the people that own the house that you are coming in and staying in. And you always, I think that's one of the biggest priorities a lot of people don't talk about is how you have to come in and respect the locals. The locals are very receptive. And when you show respect, it'll definitely be, reciprocated back to you. We've personally have noticed that. And people in our local places, if it's our local restaurants that we go to, our local like little panderia on the corner, our local landeria up the street, like people, understand that we have been very respectful to them and so on and so forth. So it's community. I feel like it's easy to build a community here, especially coming from a place that is hell-bent on portraying you in not the best light.
Yeah. And I would say also try and learn the language. Me and Dustin obviously do not speak Spanish. If you have watched even one of our vlogs, you would know that. But we try. I always try. I do my best. And what I have noticed here, and I'm actually very surprised, is that I feel like more people want to talk to me in English here than me trying to talk to them in Spanish, which is, I don't get that. I fully came here thinking that I was going to have to really quickly learn Spanish. And I think almost to my disadvantage, really, people are really like hungry to talk to me in English. Yeah. So I have not had to practice Spanish that much and, really like force myself into that. But I think that it's important that you try and that you make an effort because that really goes a long way. And just like Dustin said, just be polite. Like, don't have a chip on your shoulder. Don't immediately jump to the wrong conclusion because 99% you're going the wrong direction with whatever you perceive is about to happen or perceive someone to be thinking. I can promise you it's not coming from an ugly place. I have not experienced one drop of any inkling of racism here at
No,
all.
not one.
Not even close. So I don't feel that would ever. I'm not going to say it would never be an issue. I think there's racism everywhere, but it's definitely not a problem here. And I feel that, just like Dustin was saying, like, come with an open mind, right? Like, don't come here thinking that you're going to find all your homegirls, right? It's Mexico. It's Mexico. So you have to come with an open mind.
You know, it's so funny that Veronica says that there's racism everywhere. And I mean, I would say in terms of what I've noticed, like, and not just in Mexico, this is talking about our traveling since we started traveling like 7-8 years ago, is I feel like there's prejudice. There's prejudice everywhere. And the reason why I say that is, you know, once again, prejudice to prejudge, you know, is seeing imagery of somebody and expecting that person to be that same person. Like seeing people, you know, fighting in the streets and burning down buildings and gang violence, and every, you know, movie we're portrayed as like gangsters or athletes or thugs or, you know, whatever. I don't feel the prejudice, the, you know, that understanding of like, oh, well, this person might try to do this. I don't even feel that here,
think the only
which is crazy because once again, like I'm a black dude coming from LA. Like you walk the world playing defense. Like if you live in the United States of America, you walk and you are black, you were consistently playing defense. You're always looking for somebody to pull the rug out from under you. You're always looking for that uppercut, that big shot that's going to land that you don't see coming because you are trained and conditioned your entire life. We weren't born this way. We didn't have secret meetings to where this is, you know, we all came up with this. The reality is you've been trained and conditioned your entire life to play defense. And it's interesting going into a place to where you walk around and you're defensive and you're looking and there's nobody there to pull the rug from you. There's nobody there to throw that uppercut and catch you off. So now you're looking at life in offensive lens, thinking to yourself like, damn, well, man, I could buy this house right here. And I feel like that's like Veronica was saying, I'm very much thinking about buying a home here because A, it's economically feasible. B, I love this place, the culture, the history, the people. It's so rich. Everything is amazing. Like even the architecture, the Spanish colonial that is here. This place is breathtaking. But when you start looking at life in that perspective, it frees you up. And you have no idea how pigeonholed you are in these positions until you're in a position where you're like, damn, well, you know, you're not looking for somebody to do something for you. You're not always trying to look over your shoulder, you know, or see if somebody's going to come and pull the rug under you or do something crazy to you because you can just move with impunity. And I feel like it's a beautiful thing to experience. And for the people that live in the States that have never left the States, you know, I know people that have never left the neighborhood that they were born in. Like never left the neighborhood, never left the city, never left the state, never left the country. If you are one of those people, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have never experienced what I'm experiencing now. And I think it's so important to get a passport. It's cheap. What are passports? Like $100? But you spend more on shoes. You spend more on your haircuts. You spend more on going out and getting drinks. Bro, get a passport. And it's like $100 if you expedite it, by the way. I'm sure it's like $50 or $60, cheaper than that. Get a passport, open up the world. Once you experience this, you can never unexperience it. Once you realize the reality of this, it's like when Neo in the Matrix, you know, he had the red and the green pill. And once he got into the Matrix, there was no turning back. You couldn't go back to that other lifestyle. I want to travel forever, man. I love this lifestyle. Like it's hard to be just complacent at home. I feel trapped. I feel like I'm literally just trapped and just caged in. I love to travel because places like this provide that experience that unfortunately I'll never experience at home.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys the only time that I can think of that we experienced prejudice, aka prejudgment, was this one time when we were in Paris. And I'm going to tell you guys the story. It was so funny. So just give you some context. We went to Paris a few years ago, And it was it was more than a few years ago. Maybe it was like 5 years ago.
It's like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, it was during the On the Run tour. Okay, when Beyonce and Jay-Z did the On the Run tour. So you can kind of grasp how long ago this was. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, I don't know, when I kind of put this together, but we were at this restaurant, tiny little restaurant, delicious restaurant. What was it called? It was a truffle restaurant.
Oh, Lady Truff.
Lady Truff.
Yeah, Lady Truff.
I'm sure we butchered. And we were like one of the only tables in there, and the waiter was like smitten with us immediately, okay? Like completely smitten. And so every time he would bring us out a dish, he would go back in the back and we would like see him and like some other guy like peeking around the corner, like looking at us. And finally, toward the end of our meal, he finally got the nerve to ask us. He was like, "Who are you guys? Are you celebrities?" And I was like, "No." And he didn't believe us. So he starts Googling all these celebrities and asked us where we're from. We said Los Angeles, and like that, we should have probably told him we were from like Nebraska or something. But we said we were from Los Angeles, and he just like had a field day with it. Started like rapping to us, no joke. Started rapping to us, asking us about Compton and like just every like black person prejudice like right that you can think of. He asked us. It wasn't rude. He was not coming from a bad place. He was very excited. And now thinking back on it, I'm like, he probably thought we were with Beyonce and Jay-Z on that Unrun tour. Because they were like, we were at this fancy restaurant. We were black. They were in town. By the way, they were staying at our hotel.
Big shout out to them for staying at our hotel.
And so I get it, but that's the only time. That is the only time I have ever experienced anybody like drawing conclusions about us because we were black.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
You know, the funny thing is, so to bring context to that, I love that Veronica just brought that up. So like she said, we were in Paris like 6-7 years ago. It was an On the Run tour. And we were staying at a hotel. I'm going to shout them out. The Royal Monceau Hotel. Now, this is not a cheap hotel at all. This hotel
was a gorgeous hotel.
Yeah, this hotel was about $2,000 to $2,500 American dollars, USD, a night. Okay. And we were staying there because we just took the Euro train from London and we were staying in Paris for a little bit. And above us, literally the floor above us, the penthouses, Beyonce and Jay-Z checked in. So the entire city was going nuts. Like when I tell you the entire city was going nuts, like the youth were going crazy. Like they were like, "Oh my God, Jay-Z's here, blah, blah, blah." Every day we walked out of our hotel, the paparazzi, the news cameras, fans with like, like wearing all type of like, On the Run tour, merch and things like that. Like it was a big thing. It was a huge thing.
It was a huge deal.
Like when I'm talking about they were upstairs, like I used to hold my ear to the vent to see if I could hear Beyonce singing in the shower or something. You know what I'm saying? And so anyways, yeah, we were at this place. It was called like Lady Truff. And it was a very expensive restaurant. If you guys ever watched our vlogs, by the way, if you haven't checked them out.
We didn't vlog that.
No, I'm not saying we did. But if you do watch our vlogs, it's DnV LaLaLand on YouTube. We eat at some of the best places in the entire world. Like, we love food. We love gastronomy. Like, we are students of the art of food, right? And it's funny because, like, your boy was throwing the bag at these restaurants in Paris. Paris has phenomenal restaurants.
I cannot wait to take you guys with
us.
Yeah,
and we're gonna go on this trip. So guys, stay tuned. Like this trip around the world, we're gonna find our way to Paris. Anyways, so we're at this place called Lady Truff, and it was not cheap. It's like a 2-3 Michelin star restaurant. The chef won a James Beard Award. Like, it is not cheap. When I'm saying it's not cheap, like you can take you and your girl there and y'all could drop a G easily. Like nothing. You know what I mean? And so unfortunately, this is the being black abroad, there's not a lot of people that look like us, especially our age range, that are throwing the bag at certain things like that. They don't see people that are black Americans coming in spending that much money frequently in Paris. They don't. So he was so enamored with who we are. This guy kept coming back and he was showing pictures. Like he was literally Googling, like he took my name off my credit card. He was Googling, like he came back with all these celebrities. Like, is this you? Is this you? One of the celebrities was Tristan Wilde. If you guys don't know who that guy is, Google him. I don't look like him. I look way better. You know, he's a good looking guy, but like, you know, once again, there's levels to the swag right here. He Googled Tristan Wilde, and God, there was somebody else he Googled, and he was like, is this you? Is this you? And then like, he was like, well, where are you guys from? And I told him we're from LA. And this man looked at us. He was like, oh, are you from Compton? And bro, like
I laughed. Dustin was offended, but then when he like started talking about it, he was not coming from a bad place at all. He really wasn't. It was so funny.
Black people, embrace yourself when you travel, because the reality is he only knew 2 parts of Los Angeles. He knew Beverly Hills, because that's where everybody knows, and he knew Compton because he was huge into the rap game. He was very huge into the rap game. So, you know, very unfortunate as it may be, that's just what it was. Like, really good guy, just heavily influenced by Tupac. When we left, he kept like reciting Tupac lyrics to me the entire time. And it was to the point where I was so offended, but like I easily got over it because I'm like, wow, this dude is really a fan of hip hop music. Like, yeah, he's a huge fan of hip hop music, and I'm probably the first black dude in America that he's seen, and Lord knows when, and he's desperate to know my culture. So
they like exchanged information and everything. They're like Facebook friends right
now. Like, you know, he's definitely one of those guys to where it's like it could have been perceived differently. And had I had the USA mentality, homeboy, things could have went real different real quick. But I'm happy it didn't, and it was very well, and I appreciate it. It was good times. But yeah, guys, like, you know, once again, get those passports, travel. If you are a person in any, like Veronica said, anybody from any walk of life can come to Merida and find a peace of mind. They can find home here. They can find comfort. They can find safety. They can find culture. Anything you want and a place to call home, you can find that here. So our experience here so far and this wing of our trip has been amazing. I have not experienced any form of racism. I have not experienced any form of prejudice. I have literally, if not anything, experienced the most warmest, welcoming spirit of the people and the locals, and it's infectious. It's very infectious. Like, you know, when you're around people that are so friendly and loving and caring, you want to reciprocate that same energy, and I feel like it's changing us. Don't you feel like that?
Changing us how? It's
changing us in the sense of like how we're hardwired, our mentality, you know, the things that we think about, how we perceive, you know, other individuals, definitely how we perceive this country. Like, even though Veronica and I have never perceived this country in a negative sense, it's amazing to be able to be here and speak firsthand and not necessarily listen to the news that plays on loop in the States and be able to have our own perspective. And the fact of it is we come from one of the craziest countries in the world right now. So for people to know that we come from this country and to spread their arms out open and receive us, you know, and not look at us and be like, oh my God, go back to where you come from. Don't come to our country. We haven't gotten that once.
No. And I think that I am a very, I think I'm very open-minded with my thought process and how I look at different places, situations, scenarios, people. So I never had like a negative perception of Mexico.
Right.
Ever. I actually really love Mexico. I always have been very intrigued by Mexico. And when we first started talking about this trip, this was the first place I wanted to come. So I came here, and I still, you know, I travel every day. I wake up every day with a very open mind. And I think that's how you have to approach travel. But I think it's sad, like now having been at least here, because I'm also not ignorant. I don't think every part of Mexico is like Merida at all. But at least here, it just makes me feel sad to think about how people perceive this place.
Right.
You know, so I encourage you to go for it. If you're thinking about it, just do it, buy the ticket, just come. If you're thinking about a more permanent situation, I encourage you to come here and check it out first. Experience it for a little bit and just make sure that this is the right fit, because maybe a different part of Mexico is for you. Maybe Merida is not for you. I think Merida works for certain people, but it's not for everybody. Everywhere is not for everybody. So, that's why you should travel.
Right. I think that's the biggest message, guys, is travel, create your own opinion. The perceptions that are held upon you in the States are not held upon you here. For an example, the same media that shows this country as this terrible place is the same media that shows you as terrible individuals. So always take in consideration the source. The reality is, once again, guys, our experience here has been completely phenomenal. We've been here for months now, months and months and months, and I haven't felt one negative thing. I haven't felt prejudice. I haven't felt racism. I haven't felt any terror from any situation. It's crazy because I used to hear people say stuff like, oh, I moved out of the country, now I'm free. And I used to think that was the craziest language. Like, why would you use that, like that type of language? But I feel like I understand it. Like, free, obviously, in a state of mind of like, wow, like, I can wake up and I don't have to worry about this. I can walk the streets and I don't have to worry about that. I can go shopping and I don't have to, see people following me aisle to aisle and, trying to pat me down when I'm leaving the establishment, or checking the cameras every aisle I turn down, thinking that I'm going to do something or steal something or take something, because the reality is, like, that's not the case at all. Like, it's not the case whatsoever here. So once again, get your passport, develop your own opinion, and you're hearing this from us firsthand. This place is amazing. It brings a completely different perspective to life that if you've never left the States, you have never experienced. And I personally believe that every single one of us should experience this at some point in our life.
Yeah, I for sure think that you have to travel. You have to get outside of your hometowns. You have to get outside of your home state. You have to get outside of your home country if it's feasible for you. It's an experience like nothing I can describe to you. I got bit by the travel bug when Dustin took me to London for the first time, and I was shook at London.
Shook.
Words could not ever describe that trip. One day I will do a podcast about it, and I will tell you guys as best I can, but you have to travel. The world is so enormous. There 100% you will fall in love with somewhere else that's not your home.
Yeah. And that's, once again, that's not a slight. Like, I am a very, like, I totally respect, I honor, I cherish where I'm from. But the reality is there's no perfect place. Just like this place that we're in right now is not perfect. Where we're from is not perfect. So there is no perfect place, but I think there is pros and cons to every endeavor that you go to, every place you go to, every city, every country. And this country has some pros that I really rock with. So once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you guys like what you hear, comment, share, like, subscribe, join this Patreon, subscribe to our podcast, watch our YouTube channel, like, get into the entire mix, because DnV LaLaLand is taking over the world.
Live life beautifully with no regrets. And until next time,
y'all know what time it is. Peace.
I'm tired of waiting, gotta make that move. All the neon signs, now they shout to me and you to write our story. Wanna shake